As usual, we've had technical difficulties once again, and so I'm going to try and do the follow-up to the message this morning that did not get recorded. Where I left you there in church, we were talking about the servants and the talents, and I want to make very clear that while we will be judged on our activities as Christians, it will not influence our salvation. However, that does not take away from the white throne judgment that we are so familiar with, and that is the judgment where you will go either to heaven or to hell. And I think it is imperative as a Christian that we understand the seriousness of that judgment, and we admit that that judgment does come. Because to be real honest with you, I don't want my worst enemy to have to end up going to hell because they didn't know or they didn't understand. And I think a scripture that so well takes that point and makes it is Revelation 20, verses 11 through 15. It says, "Then I saw a great white throne, and him who was seated on it. And from the presence of the earth and the sky fled away, and no place was found for them. And I saw the dead, great and small, standing before the throne, and books were opened. Then another book was opened, which is the book of life. And the dead were judged by what was written in the books, according to what they had done. And the sea gave up their dead who were in it. Death and Hades gave up their dead who were in them. And they were judged, each one of them, according to what they had done. Then death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. This is the second death, the lake of fire. And if anyone's name was not found written in the book of life, he was thrown into the lake of fire." To be real honest with you, Revelation should in fact frighten us. It should in fact tell us that we really have a judgment day coming. And I would, like I said, would not wish that on my worst enemy. I want you to know. I want you to have the knowledge to make the choice that you can make so that you can avoid that white throne judgment and that judgment of hell. But there's another scripture that I wish to read to you, and this perhaps applies to us in the church more than any of the other scriptures, and that is Hebrews 10, 26 through 31. "For if we go on sinning deliberately after receiving the knowledge of the truth, there no longer remains a sacrifice for sins, but a fearful expectation of judgment, and a fury of the fire that will consume the adversaries. Anyone who has set aside the law of Moses dies without mercy on the evidence of 2 or 3 witnesses. How much worse punishment do you think will be deserved by the ones who have trampled underfoot the Son of God, and has profaned the blood of the covenant by which he was sanctified, and has outraged the Spirit of grace? For we know him who said, 'Vengeance is mine, I will repay.' And again, 'The Lord will judge his people.'" Verse 31, "It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God." I do believe Hebrews is speaking to people who will claim to believe, who will claim the gift of forgiveness and salvation, but they will not accept Jesus Christ as Lord. They will not become Christians in truth. They simply use it as a get-out-of-jail-free card. I think it is imperative that we understand, as people in the church, that we are called to be a people of change. That transition is necessary and mandatory in the Christian life. That last verse, 31, was preached as a title of a sermon by a guy named Jonathan Edwards in the 1700s. And it was credited as being one of the premier sermons that started the Great Awakening and a revival in that time frame. And it is famous for that reason, because it caused so many people to reflect. I do not want to fall into the hands of an angry God. I do believe that it is imperative that we understand judgment, that we understand that it is in fact truly coming. But I also want to add to what Edwards said in his service with a poet of D.H. Lawrence, who added from verse 31, "It is a fearful thing to fall into the hands of the living God. but it is a much more fearful thing to fall out of them. I don't want to share this message as a message of fear or of dread, but as a warning to not become complacent, to not take salvation for granted. And I will tell you that not everyone who says they follow God is going to heaven. Matthew is very clear that many will come on that day saying, Lord, Lord, look what I have done. Look what I have accomplished. They will have titles like pastor. They will be clerks of meetings. They will be people of influence within the church, like the Pharisees and the Sadducees before them. They took works instead of salvation. They failed at understanding the redemption of Jesus Christ's blood. We must not do that. A judgment day is coming. We must, in fact, put our faith in Jesus Christ, his death on that cross. I cannot claim to be in any better position than any other human being on this earth. I am a no more righteous person than the worst sinner out there. But that being said, the worst sinner can come before Jesus Christ, receive forgiveness, and therefore be saved. I am telling you, a judgment is coming. Are you ready? Thank you.